Hello, beautiful beings. I hope you're well today. Today is going to be about healing, transmuting, and perhaps even sometimes letting go of past relationships in our lives. And I don't mean romantic necessarily, romantic relationships, but all relationships in our lives. And it's not about, doing some cleanup. It's about reflecting, not with our mind, but with our heart. And so I guess the word would be more feeling. And, just trying to reach a certain point where you know exactly what is good in your life and what is not. The reason why I invite you to reflect on this and do this small exercise is because, as I've been saying a few times already, we are as a species, humans on Earth, we are ascending, consciously with our consciousness, and it is important to keep high vibrations, which means high emotions of high okay, I can't say the word in English, sorry. High vibration emotions, such as love, gratitude, being grateful for things, and bliss, and those are high vibrations. And I think that if we want to be able to move on to a better world for all of us, for the whole collective, it is important, it is sort of our responsibility as each individual, I feel, to reflect on, our emotions, perhaps our blockages, our the weights, the emotional weights that we actually carry with us or have been carrying for many years. And sometimes it's time to either heal them or let go of them or just transmute them. And this is what I wish to talk about today. So the exercise itself just consists simply in taking each and every one of your relationships of the past and present, may it be your parents, your siblings, your family on both sides, your friends, relationships, I mean, romantic relationships, co-workers, bosses, and I'm probably forgetting many, but you get the picture. Pretty much everyone around you or that has played a part in your life. And the purpose would be to actually reflect, or more than anything, close your eyes and just, sit with your eyes closed and be in your heart. And take each of these persons, of these people, and think about two things. The first one would be to recognize all the good things, the positive things that you've brought to each other, you to them and them to you, and trying to be honest, even if it's like, for example, like an ex or someone you've, had a lot of anger towards. Be fair, go there, feel, and know exactly and recognize which were the things that really were worth it, not only in terms of like happy, joy kind of feelings, but also even if the hard things, even the difficult lessons that we had with people in our lives, they brought us to understanding better ourselves and the other. It made us grow, it made us evolve and mature. So those are the good things, it's not just about being, lovey, happy and kind and benevolence. And yeah, that's definitely something you want to recognize and have gratitude for, and just, realize that. But also try to recognize, even if the difficult things, the challenges, the hurtful things, the situations that actually made you evolve and made you grow and become the person that you are today. So that's important. And of course, vice versa for the other person, what you have brought them, even if it's hurtful. You know, if you've hurt someone in your past, are you just going to be in guilt for the rest of your life? Or are you recognizing that perhaps this person was also in need of learning a lesson? And in that way, you have contributed to that lesson. That doesn't mean that you can't say I'm sorry, or that you don't want to be nice to that person and benevolent to that person, but you have to recognize that perhaps, things were arrived at that level of situation where you had to, do something or say something that needed to be said or done. So that's for the good part. Then recognize also the difficult things, but the ones that did not make you or the other one grow, the just really hurtful, toxic, things that don't help anybody and that are just, for example, like a projection of your hurt or their projection of their hurt, or the anger they had and they just had to like spit it on someone and it happens to be you and things like that. So those are not, well, I mean, they can make you grow, and you can always see every experience, every moment as a way to an opportunity to grow, even if it's just to know that this is not what you want anymore and you're ready to let go. So, but just be fair and look at both sides of the stories. And then after that, my next step in this little exercise that I did this for the last like few months now. I've did that with every person in my life, and lately I've been still doing it with some members of my family. And so, it's something you can always do every day, or, a few times in your life, just to make sure of where you stand, And that third element is to ask yourself the question, what would be my feelings if that person was to just call me and say, oh, I'm around, your house, I'm dropping by in 10 minutes just to see you and say hello and, talk or whatever. What would be your immediate emotions? Would it be like, oh, yay, I miss this person so much, I'm so happy to see her or him? Or is it like, oh my God, I don't feel like seeing him or her. I'm sorry. I feel anxious, I feel angry, or I feel scared. I feel like they're gonna judge me if, like my house is not all cleaned up and, I'm not wearing like the perfect little nice clothing. And am I going to feel judged by these people? Is that creating an anxiety to me? And then that gives you pretty much of an answer of where you're standing in your relationship with that person. So it can be a person that you really love and that you want to keep in your life, but that you just went through some difficult times together. And yes, you need to talk because you want to resolve that in order to continue your relationship. That's okay. But it can also be a realization that this person is always making you feel either anxious or scared or uncomfortable, or a feeling of like toxicity, in their presence. And then that it's been like that for a while now, and it's just like a one-time thing, and that perhaps it's hurting you and it's not doing you good. And perhaps it will be time to transmute this. So you can do this in two ways. Either transmuting is about taking something, watching it, facing it, accepting the reality of it. If the person is acting in a toxic way towards you, like as a narcissist and you're an empath, and you keep, for example, receiving some really manipulative, things, and the person uses a lot of techniques of manipulation to get things they want, and they don't care about what you feel, what your feelings are, whatever. That's an example. There's two ways you can do this. I mean, you can either the most important thing would be to recognize, okay, this person is doing this, and it's their stuff. It's not yours, okay? But then you are responsible as well for the stuff that you accept. For example, in the example I just gave of the narcissistic empath relationship, yes, the narcissistic person is responsible for being manipulative, But the empath is also responsible for not putting him or her boundaries and respecting him or herself. And saying no and saying, okay, this has reached a point where this is not acceptable to me anymore. So transmuting, first of all, starts with recognizing a pattern, recognizing just through the facts, like this person is doing this and that makes me feel this. Okay. Then after that, you take full responsibility for deciding if yes or no you want to continue accepting this situation. And if it's unacceptable to you anymore from now on, then you have two opportunities. Either you continue a relationship with that person, I mean, maybe be romantic or family or whatever, and then you know, always stuck in this vicious circle of like hate and anger and sadness and you know, and drama and all this stuff. Or you can simply say that, okay, this is over. I don't need this anymore. I've recognized it. I know what it brings me to realize. I take responsibility for putting my boundaries now. I know this is not good for me. So in that way, you become a sovereign being and you're responsibilizing yourself for your feelings and for the situation, and you're not a victim of that person. And then after that, like I said, either you stay in that, and that's your choice, and you do it consciously in full cognizance of everything that's there, or you decide to move on. And that's the last part of my little exercise, is moving on. How do we move on? There's different ways in which we can do that. I always suggest the benevolent way, an honest, benevolent way for people who can actually hear, you know, the information that you tell them. To be quite honest with you, with experience, I've noticed that many people are not ready to hear why you don't want to see them anymore and why they're hurting you and why their life is making you miserable, or why do you choose to feel miserable towards their attitude. You know, you see the position here. And so, and it's sometimes the case with family, for example, it's difficult because they're like really rooted, you know, relationships from which you cannot, you know, get out of, or things like that, because you're going to see each other. And so one technique is to simply go by the idea of that I recognize what that person did. I take my responsibility in it. I realize this person is not making me feel good. And if I imagine that person dropping to my house, I don't feel comfortable with it. So I don't necessarily want to pursue more relationships with that person. And one way of doing it is simply to not look forward to meeting the person. So that doesn't mean you're going to write like a 3-page email saying how much you hate the person, how much they've hurt you, and you know how, you know, you cannot have, you know, any more relationships with that person. It's an opportunity. It's a possibility. I've tried that. It doesn't really work well. You know, usually it ends up being drama, and then you feel guilty, and it's not fun. One of the possibilities is simply to just say, I'll do my things. I live my life. You just full-time live your life, and you surround yourself with positive energy, positive things in your life, making your life happy with high vibes, surrounding yourself with really high vibe people that, you know, that are not judgmental, that are not controlling, that are not making you feel like you need to like answer all their needs, and, you know, really like a positive circle around you. And when you feel really comfortable with that, and you feel like you have like a very powerful environment, you know, that to support you, to whom you can talk to, and that you know that they will not judge you, or they will not, you know, have bad feelings towards you, then you feel comfortable dealing with the fact that you're not calling back the other ones, the ones that with whom you had a toxic relationships. I'm not saying they're toxic. It could be a possibility, but let's just say the situation was toxic. You know, you were permitting yourself to be in a toxic situation. So you just don't call them back. At some point, they will, you know, because they will miss the drama, they will miss, you know, using you, or they will miss making you feel like horrible, or, you know, because this is how they function with people in general. And then perhaps they're going to make you feel guilty because you haven't called them or whatever. So you let them deal with that. but you stay kind, you stay benevolent, and you stay open. If that person says something like, oh, we haven't seen each other. No, it's true. We haven't seen each other for a while. I've been really busy. I'm really sorry. And then you don't, you know, you don't encourage to see each other. You don't encourage calling each other. You just let things happen. If the person wants to call you, if the person wants to write to you, if the person wants to come and see you, they do the effort. And then you see if that's convenient with you. If it's really not convenient to you anymore, you can either just say, no, I'm so sorry, I can't, I'm busy, or, but you can respect yourself in that and not, having to deal with that if that's something you're not comfortable with. And then slowly with time, people like that are going to see that there's no more drama with you. You're always in a high vibe, and your high vibes, they do not resonate with their low and drama vibes. And it is what Dr. Dispenza says in, about energies. And that's what, it's just a law of physics that energies echo themselves. So if you're in a high vibe, you are going to magnetize and bring to you high vibes or vibes of the same energy. You're not going to resonate with drama people anymore, and they're not going to resonate with you. So slowly, without having to be, mean or rejecting them or anything, the natural balance of things will happen, and these people are just going to be driven away from your life naturally. And it's just going to be a big relief for you, and you're going to find yourself just doing what you want, feeling how you want, surrounded by people that you want, and it's just going to be amazing in your life. You're not going to be the victim of anybody anymore. And I'm telling you all this because this is, I don't want to look like I'm, giving you like, oh, I have some great advice for you. All of these things I share with you in my videos, it's really things that I've experienced myself very deeply. I've had some difficult relationships. I'm not going to get into this because this is quite personal, but I know now what is good for me and what is not. And I found a way for me, and this video is about that, is trying to find a way to cope with that and find a way in which you can respect yourself, but also responsibilize yourself for not being a victim anymore, but just choosing what is good and not good in your life. But also recognizing what were the good things and even the bad things, if you can find some important elements in there that made you grow and that made you find more maturity in your life, emotional maturity. So yeah, so I think this exercise can be very helpful to me. It has been extremely helpful. And it helps me being more joyful, keeping myself in higher vibes now, and just be around people that, I really feel that they're not going to judge me. They're not going to be toxic. They're not going to be in drama anymore. They're going to be of good faith in the sense that they're not going to be lying their heads off and, making me feel like I'm the one who should like believe them or things like that. It's just, or also people that don't believe you or are not interested in what you do. I have people around that I had people around me who personally, like, for example, for this situation in the world right now, they were not believing me. They thought I was just like a woo-woo, freak conspiracy theorist, and they didn't believe me. And I thought, well, if you're really that person that's close to me and you don't believe in me, or at least you don't try to see things in my way, it's okay, but I'm just letting go. I don't need to convince you of anything, but you have to respect me, and I have to be able to be myself around people I love. If I have to lie in order to make you comfortable with the way you want to see the world, I cannot do that anymore, so that's one aspect, so, or it can be people who just they're not interested by what you do. They don't, they don't even know what your everyday life is, what you create, what you do, who are the people in your life. They just want you to be their thing, to be of use when they need it emotionally, or then that perhaps this relationship needs to move on. So that's it for today. I'm not gonna, this is probably a long video already, so I'm gonna let you go there, and hopefully this will be an exercise that can help you transmute difficult past relationships and emotions in order to let go of emotional weight, not people weight, but emotional weight, and just move on to higher vibes in order to individually contribute, all of us, to a collective of higher vibrancy and a more conscious world. That's where we're going, and we need to do the work. So take great care of yourself. Much love. Bye.